Hello world, double thumbs here. So I made a lot of videos on Sony E-mount lenses that I own, but I actually forgot to make a video on my very first lens, the Sony 16-50 f3.5 to 5.6 kit lens. And this was my only lens on my A5000 for 4 years, and it was my first lens on my A6400 before I got my Sigma 16mm f1.4. And I have compared it to great lenses like the Sigma 16mm f1.4 and the Sony 18-105 f4G lens. And since buying those lenses, I honestly don't use this guy anymore, at least not as much. But it's such a small lens that can do it all. Let's go see if this is good enough for YouTube. And the first is the image quality, and there's no doubt that the image quality coming from the Sigma 16 is going to be sharper and better in all lighting situations. I mean, just look at that. Even a non-professional like me can distinguish the Sigma footage from the kit lens footage. But that's not to say the kit lens footage is horrible. Doesn't it look pretty decent? The kit lens can definitely produce more than good enough image quality for YouTube and home videos. Comparing it to your smartphone or action camera videos, the kit lens shows that getting your camera is worth the money. It may suffer a bit in low light, but still this low light is a few levels above your smartphone and action cam video quality. But personally, if you spent the money to buy any Sony APS-C camera, I would spend the extra $400 and get one of these Sigma Trios for that f1.4 goodness. Unless it's a older body like the A5000 or the Nex 5, then it may not be worth it. And moving on to the second point, which is the portability. And I think this is the biggest strength of the kit lens because it weighs so little and barely takes up any space. The exact weight and dimensions are 116 grams and 30 by 65 millimeters, and the kit lens really fits well with the compact body of the APS-C cameras. With the smaller A5000, it really becomes comparable to a point-and-shoot cameras like the Sony ZV-1. And even on an A6400, it makes the camera much more compact and light that it can be considered a jacket pocketable camera. And as a non-professional, size really does matter because if your camera is big and heavy, you're less likely to take it out with you because you don't always want to go out with your camera bag. Sometimes you want to put it in your pocket, but big lenses like the Sigma 16 or the Sony 18-105, they're not going to fit in your pocket. And moving on to the third aspect, which is the field of view. And this is also another strength of this little kit lens because that 16-50 millimeter on an APS-C sensor equates to 24-75 on a full frame sensor. And that 24-75 millimeter is that standard zoom range. It covers a wide angle with 24 millimeters, and it can go to some standard angles like the 35 millimeter and also the 50 millimeter. And also it'll cover some telephoto and portrait angles at 75 millimeter. That means that it can really act as your all-in-one lens that can cover 99% of your needs. You will miss your ultra-wide angle lenses sometimes, and you might miss your super telephoto angle lenses from time to time. But it's the fact that you can get 99% of your field of view from this small and light lens. Lastly, you learn which field of view you prefer using the most by using the kit lens, which lets you know which prime lens you need to buy next. For myself, I found that I liked the 16mm the most, so I ended up buying the Sigma 16mm f1.4 as my second lens. Now moving on to the last aspect, which is the stabilization. And the kit lens's stabilization definitely isn't the best, but its small size and lightweight make it a great combination with small gimbals like the Zhiyun Crane M2 or the Feiyutech G6 gimbals. Even if you don't like using gimbals, as long as you're just panning, the stabilization will get rid of those hand jitters for you. Comparing it to OSS or stabilization off, the difference is pretty significant, and you can tell that the OSS does a great job at reducing hand jitters. This is important as almost all Sony APS-C bodies except for the A6500 and the A6600 doesn't have any in-body stabilization. But anything with movement like walking, you'll get a lot of shakes with this kit lens to a point where I personally wouldn't use it. Although it's much better than without any OSS, the Sony 18-105mm f4G lens, which has the best lens stabilization among E-mount lenses, is the way to go if you do a lot of on-the-move filming. In conclusion, the strength of this Sony 16-50 kit lens is that it's small and light with stabilization built in, and that it will get good image quality with enough lighting, and the fact that it covers a wide range of field of view. Its weaknesses are that it doesn't have the best stabilization and low light video quality, and the fact that these Sigma f1.4 trios exist at $300 to $400. But I think it's a good starting point to try out multiple field of view while keeping your camera as small as possible. But what do you guys think? Is this kit lens usable for YouTube and home videos? Let me know down below, and until next time, bam!